There's nothing worse than dragging yourself to the finish line of an overlong game. By the time you get there, you've seen every trick the developers can think of, plus a level where they took all your weapons away just to try and keep you awake. Eventually, you've forgotten why you loved the game in the first place, and you're down 100 hours you can't get back. Maybe the only thing that can make it better is testing out all of your shortcuts on your brand new Pro X60 keyboard with key control. Sometimes it's better to embrace brevity. Here's a handful of short and sweet games that get in, get out, and leave you with something to think about. Portal is a game that's all tutorial. That's not a criticism, it's also one of the best puzzle games ever made. But it's made up of a series of lessons, designed to teach you how to think in a world where physics is a matter of perspective. Once you've completed all its test chambers and broken out of the lab, it's all over. At least until the sequel, which is much more sprawling and ambitious. But this first proof of concept is done in an evening. A perfect burst of momentum-based maths and comedy voice acting.
Thank you for participating in this Aperture Science computer-aided enrichment activity. Goodbye.
Inside is technically a puzzle game too. Like Limbo before it, this is a platformer that often asks you to push boxes around to trigger switches and reach high ledges, but those puzzles aren't what sticks in the mind. Not until after you've steered Inside's child protagonist deep into the lair of sinister scientists. Instead, you're left with some tough questions about the nature of control and no small amount of body horror. It's a game that will cause you to pull back from your keyboard, stare at your hands and wonder, what have I done? And then maybe do it all again, because while the thing you did was bad, it was also fun. Gone Home starts from a place of horror, with a daughter returning to see her family after a trip abroad. She finds the house empty, and her parents and sister missing without explanation. They leave behind only a note, begging her not to go digging for answers. Over a few hours though, Gone Home reveals itself to be much more than a ghost house. Using hundreds of objects in the environment, it tells the story of its characters in a much more layered way than it possibly could have through dialogue. Though there are no NPCs wandering the halls, this Oregon house is stuffed to the rafters with personality. If you're addicted to reading terminal entries in Fallout's Wasteland, then this is the game for you. At first glance, Firewatch appears to occupy the same niche as Gone Home. It's a first-person exploration game about picking through clues found in the world and figuring out a mystery. So far, so lonely. But despite appearances, this is an incredibly chatty game.
Don't feed anyone a knuckle sandwich.
As a fire lookout in a forest in Wyoming, you're constantly on the walkie-talkie to your supervisor, Delilah. She's a good hang, and Firewatch is actually about the way that relationship develops from afar. It's a tale of two towers. Neither one of them belongs to Saruman. And better still, the whole thing wraps up in the time it takes to watch any Lord of the Rings movie.
Well, I found some dangerous hunks.
What on earth are you...
It's another one of those magazines.
It's hard to say precisely how long Superhot is. Time stands still in the stylish first-person shooter. It only flows when you're moving, which gives you space to consider your options in a firefight. Maybe you'll dodge a bullet, or grab a falling gun out of the air. Superhot is basically a John Wick simulator, one that slows things down enough for you to think like Keanu. Best of all, the campaign doesn't outstay its welcome. Or maybe it does if you stand still for absolutely ages. But that's entirely up to you. It's your own time you're wasting. Using a whimsical narrator figure, the Stanley Parable takes the tone of old British comedy classics like Monty Python and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Then it throws you into the mix. Every time the narrator describes the next event in your day, you can choose to throw off the story by taking a different corridor, or refusing to do anything at all.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
What starts as the tale of an office drone becomes an absurd exploration of fate and interactivity. You could finish the Stanley Parable a dozen times in a single day, and never experience the same ending twice. It's basically Easter eggs all the way down.
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that?
Thanks for sticking with us. We hope we haven't kept you long, and you'll still have time to finish one of these games before the day is done. If you find yourself with a spare minute in the future though, Logitech G will always have you covered for recommendations. Just subscribe and ring that bell, and we'll keep you updated on the best games out there. Ciao for now.
Boy, for as dry as it is this summer, there's an area down here that's lush.